Welcome back. This is the second lesson recording for IM1, May 14, 2021. So card number 3, we have what information are we given? We are given two angles, 52 pairs of angles that are congruent, and a side that is in between. We call this included side because it's in between the two angles that we're dealing with. Okay, so we have angle here, then followed by a side, and then the angle. Okay, so you go in order. So we have angle, side, and angle. So when you are given that, are they congruent or not? To do that, I'm going to go back to my slides. Okay, so if I have a side, you have two side angles, and in between sides is enough information. How do we come to that conclusion? So if I am given any angle and another angle, okay, so angle and a side and an angle, some particular angle measures, okay, the only way I can form the triangle is to extend each of the sides, and the other two sides are already defined for us in or because the angle is already defined. Okay, so when you actually have angle and included side or in between side and another angle, then that is enough information. Okay. All right, so we can conclude that yes, we have enough information and they are congruent. What about card number 4? What about, in this case, we have 3 pairs of angles that are congruent. We are not given any side length. Okay. Now to think about this, 3 angles are not enough information. Why is that? And I can demonstrate with these 2 exaggerated triangles. Okay, so I have left triangle here and right triangle here. It so happens that the angle measures are exactly the same. So if I go to the duplicated slide here, all right, so if I move this, I know that the top triangle match up exactly. The bottom left triangle angle matches up exactly, and bottom right angle matches up exactly. Okay, however, obviously, the two triangles are not congruent. One's way bigger than the other. That's because even though the 3 angles may be matching, 3 pairs of angles may be matching, the side length could be very, very different. They're obviously not the same triangle, so they're not congruent. Okay, so angle, 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 3 angles are not a congruence shortcut. What about card number 5? Okay, so we said that card number 5, there are no pairs of congruent sides or angles. So we obviously know that these triangles are not congruent. Okay, what about this? This time we have 3 pairs of congruent sides. We have 4 matching with 4, another 4 matching with another 4, and 7 matching with 7. So we have 3 pairs of congruent sides. Is that enough information? To do that, we're going to explore the GeoGebra again. Here we go. Okay, so we can again change the length of the sides, but they actually match up exactly. Okay, it will, as long as the 2 pairs, the sides are the same, the only way you can create a triangle is already set. If the 3 side lengths are set, then the angle measures are also set, because there is no other way to connect to make sure that those endpoints meet to form a triangle apart in any different way. Okay, so, and you can watch this video as well. And if you copy one side and another side and the third side, okay, and so that they actually meet at the ends, the only way is as if it is a replica of the other shape. Okay, so you can translate it, and all the angles are going to be the same regardless. Okay, so when the sides are the same, then we can conclude that the angles, corresponding angles, are going to be the same as well. So three sides, side, 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 is a congruence shortcut. Again, that means that we don't need all six sides and three pairs of angles and three pairs of sides to be congruent. We just need three sides, three pairs of sides to be congruent. So now you're going to take some notes. And so triangle congruence rules. To decide if two triangles are congruent, we do not need all six pairs of information. Instead, in some case situation, only three pairs of information are needed. The situations are side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, side, 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 and angle, angle, S, side. Note that the order of the letters matter, meaning that you can't just swap those letters. Okay, so I would like you to take notes by taking the top part down and then drawing this big table in your notebook with side angle sides, angle side angle, and side side side, and angle angle S side. Okay, and I want you to leave like 4 lines of for each of the box. Okay, because next slide you're going to be taking notes more specifically. So we'll go in detail to side angle side. What do we mean by SAS? We mean side angle side roll. Okay, so two triangles are congruent if two pairs of corresponding sides have the equal length and the angle in between them are the same measure. So is that the included angle? You have two sides, 5 and 5, that's one pair, and 7 and 7, that's the second pair. And the angle that is congruent is in between the two congruent pairs of sides. Okay, so it has to be the in-between side, and that's, you can see the location of the angle is in between the side and another side. So this tells you that we're talking about included angle or in-between angle. So you can see that in this case, we're given one side and the angle and another side. That is sufficient information for us to conclude congruence. What about angle side angle? Okay, so in this case, what's in between? We're given two angles, and in between is the side. We're given two angles that are two pairs of angles that are congruent, and in between is the congruent pair of sides. Okay, so that's why it's angle, side, angle. Okay, so two pairs of corresponding angles are equal measure, and the side in between them are the same length. We also said side, side, side was a congruent shortcut, because if all three pairs of corresponding sides are congruent, the only way you could form a triangle by making the ends meet to form a triangle is if the angles are all set. There is no other way of creating a triangle that have different angles. So if you have three sides that are congruent, three pairs of congruent sides, then that is enough for us to conclude that two shapes are congruent. The fourth one is angle, angle, side. Okay, this might look very similar to angle, side, angle, but notice that we're not talking about the side being in between, but the side is outside the two angles. Okay, sides, we're not talking about this side being congruent, but we're talking about a side that is not an included side that is congruent. Okay, so we have a side and then followed by an angle and an angle. Excuse me. All right, so two pairs of corresponding angles are equal measure, and one side that is not between the angles are the same length. And remember, the order of angles matter. Okay, so now it's your turn to tell me, Are the triangles congruent? If yes, what rule? Okay, so what information are we given here? We're given measurements here. We are given that we have 9 centimeter here and then 9 centimeter on the right triangle. 3 centimeters here and 3 centimeter on the right triangle, 10 centimeter and 10 centimeters. So we actually have 3 pairs of congruent sides. So which is the rule? Which is the rule that says that if you have 3 things, that this we can conclude that this is congruent? Yes, it is congruent because it satisfies the side rule. What about this? Okay, tell me in the private chat. Do you think these 2 triangles are congruent? Well, what do we have? Well, we're going to use notation. Remember, we spent a lot of time on learning about notation and what that means. When we have same number of arc, that means this angle and this angle, they are exactly same in measure. And this angle R and angle A, see, because they both have 2 arc here and 2 arc here, we're dealing with angle measures and they are exactly the same. And then third, we have 3 arc here, 3 arc here. That means angle T and angle C, the measures are exactly the same. So in this case, we have 3 pairs of congruent angles. Is that enough information for us to say that these 2 triangles on the left and right are congruent? No, because angle is not a rule. Why is that? Because even though the angles might be matching, the side length could be very different. Do you remember our previous example? This one, we said that even though the angles, the 3 angles matched up, side could be very different. So, and obviously these 2 triangles are not congruent because that one is way bigger than the other. Okay, so remember angle is not a congruence shortcut. Okay, what about this? Are the 2 triangles congruent? Okay, so we have 20 degrees here and 20 degrees here. We have 65 degrees here, 65 degrees here, and 12 millimeters here and 12 millimeters here. So we have 2 pairs of congruent angles, and we have 1 pair of sides that are congruent, and that side that are congruent is in between the 2 pair of angles that are congruent. So yes, by angle, side, angle. This is not angle, side, because the side that are congruent, the pair of sides that are congruent is in between the 2 angles that are congruent. So it's angle, side, angle. What about this? Are the triangles congruent? If yes, what condition? Okay, so here we have 5 and 5. That's one side that's congruent. 85 and 85, that's one pair of angles that are congruent, 9 and 9. So we have 2 pairs of sides and the angle in between. So that's going to be side, angle, side, and side, angle, side is a congruent shortcut. So yes, they are congruent. What about this? Okay, are the triangles congruent? If yes, what rule? Okay, so we have all the angles that are congruent. So are they congruent? No, we said that angle is not a congruent statement. What about the sides? Well, the sides within the triangles are all equal, but between one triangle to the other triangle, are they the same length? No, they're different length. You can tell by 1 tick mark here and 2 tick mark here. That means these 2 triangles are not congruent because the corresponding sides are not congruent. What about this? Are these 2 triangles congruent? Yes, we have angle here and a side here and another angle here. So it is congruent by ASA. What about this? Okay, we have angle here and another angle here and the side that is not included side that are congruent. So in this case, we have angle, side. Okay, you don't say angle, side angle. You jump